Okay. Normally we do it together. Now I do it alone. Yeah, brother. Okay. Okay. Om Swastiastu. Uh, Selamat malam. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, Pak Scott. Thank you again for inviting. It's an honor. Oh, hold on. I'm still on my sock. Let me off my sock. Sorry, it looks very weird with this on a sock. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Iwan, we can start again. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, once again, thank you, Bu Ayu, for introducing. My name is Wayan, obviously number one. I'm from Taro village, where the temple is. We're gonna talk about. It used to be only 20 minutes drive, but surprisingly now it's 45 minutes. So I mean, there is there is a lots of advancement from the past 20 years, but we're not gonna talk about the traffic, but we will talk about the temple. Okay, why is it so special? Because Taro is where I born, and Pura Gunung Raung is actually named after a mountain in Java. Gunung Raung is one of the biggest mountain in East Java, but the temple that is built in Taro, in my village, is named after that mountain. So that is a thing we're gonna talk about. So this temple is very much related to the arrival of the holy priest of Maharshi Markandeya. So all we learn is from the Purana. Purana is basically a compilation of story, history written by some by the priests, some by the king, and in some of those history mentions about the existence of the temple. So then the compilation of this history and then written into a lontar, which called Purana. So then this Purana is then kept to be the reference. And the one that I learned is in 2011. There is a huge ceremony called Pancawali Krama, the first ceremony done after 350 years. So I remember that was the biggest ceremony I ever witnessed in my village related to uh, the ceremony within the temple. So that is where I get involved, compiling those stories, and then I was one of the lucky one that is I was actually the typewriting. Yeah, most of our leaders, they learned the story, they heard the story, but my job was to write it down, and now it's become a book where we can read by everybody. Because before, all these Purana are kept and keep it sacred. So for the first time, it is open after a long time, because it is not we cannot access it at any time unless we have a certain ceremony that needs to clean the lontar. There is the day where we need to access all this sacred manuscript, and it must be followed with a very complex ceremony. So what I'm trying to say, there are lots of story written there, there are lots of history written there, but it's not easy access for everybody. But our leaders decided to translate it into Bahasa Indonesia, into original, and then into Balinese version, and then into Bahasa Indonesia. So I was very much translate them into Bahasa Indonesia so that everybody understand what is written. Okay, so that was one of my I would say the blessing from my perspective, because I had the opportunity to learn and compile all this story and learn how beautiful the story was, and until the temple is being erected. Okay, so back to Maharshi Markandeya. So this holy priest is originated from India. He traveled all the way from India through East Java. He was actually planned to stay in Dieng Plateau, yeah, but there was already a priest already there. It is not mentioned which priest, but there is already an ashram in the Dieng Plateau. So he continued. So then he Dieng and forward, that is where the later become the Tengger. Okay, and then his Maharshi followers move much closer to Bali. So the Maharshi then built his learning center. Yeah, I think now we call it school or university, but basically an ashram. So then, like any other ashram at the time, he have a lots of followers, devotees that also learn about spirituality, but very much about spirituality. So during his meditation, the Maharshi's meditation, he saw bright shiny lights from the sky, reflecting from the earth toward the sky, and the color is a golden color. So that's how it's written. There was a bright written golden color. So Maharshi then received a mission to look for the source of that light, or to look for that light. So that is how it's all started. So Maharshi Markandeya then travel towards northeast from East Java. It is in the region of Glenmore. I just visited 2 weeks ago. Then he was followed with 400 followers. So the first trip the Maharshi made, followed by 400 followers, and it is believed Bali. Yeah, it was heading to Bali. It is not mentioned how it didn't stated how the trip was, through what medium is using, but what is written in the Purana is that half of his followers died. There are lots of his followers, 400, half of these followers got sick, and some even lost because attacked by the wild animal, because Bali was a deep jungle at that time. So that's so we can imagine there's lots of big trees, there is wild animals, and the Maharshi crossed that jungles, and then so yeah, so basically the first trip was failed, and so Maharshi came back again to Gunung Raung and meditate and asking for solution. Okay, and long story short, he received the solution, and then Maharshi make the second attempt, the second trip, followed double of the number, around 800 followers. That's how the Purana said. This time the Maharshi is more confident because he missed one thing, which is called butayadnya. Basically, he didn't ask permission on the first time when he came with the 400 followers. So the first thing that the Maharshi did on the second attempt visiting Bali at that time is asking permission through Mama Bali in the mountain by the slope of Mount Agung, by planting 5 elements. Yeah, as we know, this human body and all this universe is created by the 5 elements. So these 5 elements that the Maharshi planted is basically representing the 5 elements that create the human body, Pancha Tanmatra, and then the 5 elements that create the universe, Pancha Mahabhuta. So then the Maharshi continue with his trip. So it's a very long story. There is lots of happening within the Purana, like how Maharshi is seeing. But basically from Besaki temple. Oh, by the way, the place where the Maharshi buried this 5 element or Panchadhatu is called Basukian temple. That is the first temple on the right, just before we are entering the main temple of Besaki. So that was believed the 5 element was built. So that's why when there is a ceremony in Taro or in Besaki, vice versa, there is always asking for holy water. Doesn't matter if it is happening in Besaki, they will obtain the holy water from Taro, or if there is a ceremony in Taro, they will obtain the holy water from Besaki. So that is how the connection happened. So from that point, the Maharshi saw a strip, like If you know, when we looking into during a daylight and there is a cloud, and then some of the cloud create a shape. So this shape is called amunduk. So this is basically a strip. So this amunduk is later then become one, what do you call it? It's like the main area where the teachings is spread. So starting from Campuan Ubud, yeah, all the way up through Bangkyang Sidem, Keliki, Keluse, Bersela, Tatag, Payangan, Tatag, and Taru until Lepuakan. So this is one strip. So this one strip consists of 32 villages called Amunduk Taru. So it's like a union, you know, like we learn from the same guru, from the same teacher. So this one is basically just one, 32 different villages. So if you, later we will talk about the composition of the temple. So that is also where all these 32 temples, 32 traditional villages or desa adat is related to this temple. So that is how this strip is then become the next destination. Maharishi Markandeya has lots of mission actually, but one of the mission that is accomplished that is related to the temple that we are talking about. There are three. One is the spirituality or the belief system. Second is believed to be the tradition, the community system, and then the agriculture system, which is still preserved until today's generation. What are they? Temples, as we know, is a place where we, the Balinese, worship. So it is believed that the Maharishi is the first that introduced Hinduism, because it is mentioned at that time the Wong Baliaga or the indigenous Balinese have already its local beliefs. We even don't know what is that belief is called, but it's just a traditional belief, a local belief. Very close we can describe is close to animism, because the value is where everything has energy basically. So the Maharishi first job is to structure the belief system using the Hinduism. So for the first time, Maharishi Markandeya introduced the Hinduism in this area. So this temple is actually related to this activity, to share his first mission, which is to spread Hinduism. And secondly, the community, it is believed to stay in small tribes, in a small group, and they tend to get moving a lot, maybe close to nomadic, but they don't have a big community system like we are seeing today. So that is why the Maharishi teach all these different tribes stay in one area and share the same territory, the same area, and pick one leader, and then we make the rule ourselves. So this is called desa adat or desa pakraman, because and then to make this is also easier to organize the task together by staying close side by side. So side by side is called mejejer, banjar. So the word banjar is actually the structure that Maharishi creating side by side. So then when we have a job, when we have a work, it's easy to bring everybody together. And then also at the time, if there is any emergency, it's also easy to raise awareness. Basically, for the first time, the indigenous, so the Maharishi introduced the community system into one same territory, and then this territory, and then again split up into three different different structure. The head, the body, or the feet, or like the Parhyangan, Pawongan, Palemahan. But we can create for another talk about that later on. But basically, the territory of how we live in the community is structured into always in these three stages: the divine world, the material world, and then the underworld. There is always a head, there is always a body, and then there is always some sort of like the feet.
When did Maharishi come to Bali? What time or frame are we talking?
The frame is between 4th to the 7th century. So there is this, yes, so long before the kingdom era. So long before the kingdom era, because Majapahit influence is coming around the 10th century. So the 8th and the 9th is the local Bali kingdom. and this is way before that, and that is how it is validated by the king at that time. So back to the second community system, and then three, the agriculture system. So the Maharishi realizes that we no longer moving, look for food, so we need to stay in one area, and then we have to grow food ourselves. So that is then the Maharishi create the agriculture system, which now we learn as Subak. So the Subak arrived from two words, Suak, which means instruction. So it is believed that is how the Maharishi teach the community how we plant, when is the best time to plant, when we put the water, and so on and so on. So these details, maybe nowadays word is SOP, is happening in a village called Puakan. Puakan is actually one banjar or one traditional village where the Maharishi first time cutting the converting or opening the forest into a plantation area. So Swa is a speech, but Puak is actually ngerwa or opening. So that is why now every time there is a ceremony related to the agriculture, it's happening in Puakan. And if you are lucky, if you have a time, one day after the Galungan, all these 32 villages will come to this fairy temple of Puakan. So that's the correlation. Okay, so yeah, so then Maharishi created the belief system or Hinduism, and then set a foundation for the community system and then the agriculture system. So then it is believed that the Maharishi moved his ashram in East Java to Taro. So that is why the name of Gunung Raung is given after the mountain in East Java. Because that's how the story is then all started. We will get to that why, but what is very unique with the temple, with the Gunung Raung temple in Taro is number one, of course, the name after a mountain in East Java, and then number two, most of the Balinese temple is facing either north or east, which is facing to the Mount Agung, where well, this principle is very much taught by the later priests, Dangyang Nirarta Empu Kuturan and all this. So it is believed brought by the influence of the king of Majapahit. So that is explained why this is long before that, because the worship, the way we worship is not to the north or to the east, but to the west, basically facing Gunung Raung or the Mount Raung. So most of the temple normally facing north and east, but here is facing west because it's dedicated for the Mount Raung in East Java. And then the entrance, most of the temple have only two entrance, but this temple has four entrance. I asked our previous priest why the Gunung Raung temple has four priests. By four entrance, it is actually the base of a swastika. It's actually a plus. When the horizontal and vertical meet, so that's so the temple is actually the resemblance of tapak dara or a plus. So the plus is actually where we as a human being is look for the balance between horizontally and vertically. Horizontally is among how we live in harmony with human beings and other creature and all that is live in the nature. Vertically is to God and also for the creatures below us. Some we call it demons, all this negative energy, but we believe they're present, so that we need to balance all this. Yeah. So the entrance is a plus, and this is later than why explain why Maharishi choose this very place to build the temple, because excuse me, it is believed to be the center of the universe. So that is when the line of vertical and horizontal are met. So that's one explanation, and second explanation by the existence of the holy cow. This is also very unique for the village of Taro. It's the only village that still preserve the holy white cow, which is believed as the ride of Shiva or Nandini. Because we in Bali believe that all 9 different direction is guarded by the deities, and all of them have a holy ride, and the one is the god that lives in the middle is Shiva, and his holy ride is Nandini. So there is what I learned from my elder is why Maharshi number 1 picked the Taru village as to become his ashram, and then why there is also why he's moving his ashram from East Java to Taro. So from there, then he spread his teaching through Bali, but mostly within this strip or the Amunduk Taro. And then also another part that is very unique is Titi Gonggang. So like all the temples are divided into 3 mandala or 3 different sections. Outside called Nista Mandala, and then the second part is Madhya Mandala. This is normally where we do the preparation for the ceremony. So outside is the most profane one. When we enter, the second one is less sacred, but the holiest part is the Utama Mandala or the center one. So in the Madhya Mandala, there is a Titi Gonggang. Titi Gonggang is basically just a bridge, but there are 3 bridges. There is a bridge consists of 3 bamboo. It represents our thought, our speech, and our action. We call it Trikaya Parisuddha. This is to always think good, to always say good, and then to always do good. This is where karma is then created, because karma is all coming out is an effect from our mind, our words, and our action. So it is believed if we do all these 3 things right, then we get across or heaven, or known as heaven. Because in front of this bridge there are 2 statues. One is Sangyang Suratma. Sangyang Suratma is like an accountant, where he's writing every details of what we say and do in our life. And then on the right is the great judge. Batarayama is basically he's the eternal judge. What sort of punishment or what was if whether we get across or we fall. If we fall, it is believed that we enter into suffering or hell. If we get across, means we have a blessings or heaven. So that is very unique. So every temple that has Titu Gongang is believed influenced by the Maharshi Markandeya. So most of this temple from Taru up until Ubud, they will have this little section called Titi Gonggang. So that's and then Balai Agung. Balai Agung, we have like a huge pavilion function 2. One as a meeting or gathering place. 2 is as sharing. Every full moon, our community gather inside the temple, inside the Utama Mandala, to discuss the affairs that is happening, if there is some preparation needs, and whatever decision is made. So this is very unique because whatever is decided in this holy pavilion or Balai Agung, it is considered to be the word of God's. So nobody will break it. So that is the very powerful of it. For example, if there is a transaction happening, like my grandparents bought a land, he doesn't need a receipt or anything. All we need is just make a little offering as part of the transaction. So he buy the land with a couple of cows and maybe a few wang kepeng coins, and then it is announced in that pavilion, and then everybody agrees, and everybody is announced to everybody, so it's legal, and none of them will break it. Same with the rules and the regulations. So if during the meeting, if we agreed upon any decision, and nobody will break it. So that's very, very powerful in terms of creating law and order. That's the Bali Agung, and then the Utama Mandala, or the holy spot. They have two sections. Normally, when we enter the temple, it's just one section. It has two sections. So one section is very much where we pray and worship, but there is one section is very much where we do all this meeting, where the Bali Agung is. And also there is a huge kulkul. It is also believed brought from Java. The kulkul is made from the stem of a flower, not from a tree, but from a stem of a flower, but it's quite a big diameter. That is also very unique. And not just, and then it is believed that after the Maharishi, then we receive also lots of influence from the later Rishi. As we know, there are, I think, 8 or 9 Maharshi visiting Bali afterwards, and then improving until what we are seeing today. So the fairy temple of Gunung Raung, Pura Gunung Raung in Taro, what we believe is the first spiritual guidance, that, or the first belief system, which is or the first Hindu temple that is introduced to Bali, because it is the first Rishi that came to Bali and introduced tourism. Sorry, not tourism, Hinduism. The ceremony also, just like every other temples, every 6 months, so every 210 days. It is on Wuku Ugu, so Budok Leon Ugu. The anniversary is Budok Leon Ugu, so it's every 6 months. So we do it one one time big, one time small. So we do it. For example, last time we open for 10 days, and then the next 6 months only for 3 days. Why 10 days? Because it's considered to be Kayangan Jagat, or everybody can come and pray. 3 days sometimes is not enough, because it's opening on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday normally already finished the ceremony. And some people have weekends they cannot attend because only for 3 days. So every 1 year we extend it for 10 days. So one Odalan 3 days, one Odalan 10 days. Not only its anniversary, because there are a lots of shrine inside the temple, so there are lots of ceremony very much related to Subak, very much related to agriculture also happening in the temple. So they also have their own anniversary following the rhythm of the agriculture. So that is why there is a belief in our community. Doesn't matter what we do, as long as we have the rice field, we must grow rice, because there is rituals that we must follow every 6 months, where we bringing the rice from our rice field and put it into the temple, and then we make a circle for 3 times as part of our gratitude for the prosperity is making. So that is also still interlinked with the agriculture system, and then the belief system. So like Scott said, the real yogi is the farmers, right? They stay in the sun, they do 6,000 movement every day, and then they worshiping the sun, not just the sun, but also the earth, the water, and then at the end of this is put back into the temple. So yeah, I think that's introduction about the temple and why it's so special, a bit of a history. And I'm happy to, I try to look the link online. We don't have it, but we have the printed book called Purana Tatwa Maharsi Markandia. So that's also the history, but it's still in Bahasa. So maybe inviting, maybe one day somebody can help me translate that into English. So I think that's also very interesting to learn about the history, a little bit about the temple, and then not just about the temple, but many aspects during his arrival. So I hope that's okay about the temple. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Wayan.
Thank you,
So
Scott.
informative. I love the temple up there. I've been many times. It's a very powerful place. I start to question
Yep.
when is the next Odalan? And
Sorry?
how many days is it?
Oh, the next Odalan. Oh, I need to check on the calendar. It has to be. So all you need to find is Ugu. Ugu is like the month. Last for 35 days. So you look for Umanis. Sorry. Sinto landap ukir kolantir tau lugum ragu. You look for Ugu on the Balinese calendar. I think I can look it up. But on that Ugu, no. On that Ugu, you look for the Wednesday. Wednesday, Cleon of Ugu, we will find that date. So most likely because we had that last month, yeah, last month, June, July, August, September, October, November, around December, yeah, around December, January, yeah. So sometime like that.
Make sure you let us know.
Yes, yes. So I would, if you like, maybe on that next Odalan, we can organize a trip, so we can walk the talk today.
We can all pray together.
Yeah. Yes, Ibu.
So I haven't been to Taro.
Okay.
Only recently heard about it.
Okay.
And I don't travel a lot. So I know that area is after Tagalagalan, right?
Yes.
Further north. Is because this is where the subak
Yep.
system of watering the rice fields and the gradations has
Mm.
started
Mm.
in the island of Bali so long ago. Does that mean that in your area, in Taro, because how you described it, that that connection between working the rice fields in the ceremony, particularly in your village, are more prevalent? Does that mean that there are more rice fields in the area that have not been destroyed, like in the Ubud area? Even Champuan area that is part of your 32 villages. So I'm asking very naively because
Yes,
I haven't
Ibu.
been there.
I hear you.
And I really want that
Yes.
for the area. So,
That is actually my dream, Ibu. And I think that is why I'm appreciating Scott so much. The topic is about the temple, but it is actually the value of the subak also. And as much as I want to maintain the restful stay. We have a good indication to do that because we still have the water. Okay, there are a lot of temple that is related to the water source. There are lots of temple that is related to the subak, and this very temple of Gunung Raung also hosts many rituals that is related to the subak and agriculture system. For now, yes, we have quite most of the rice field is still maintained as rice field. There is
not like in Tagalagalan, so it's so touristy.
no, it's in Taro, yeah. So that's why we also would like to protect there. Ibu. We would like to protect in a good way. I mean, if we can, we still can maintain that. So it's not just only the tradition is maintained, but also its nature, because it's connected. Because every 3-4 months we have a ceremony that is related to the subak. It would be very strange if we do the tradition but the rice field is not there. So that would be that would be very hard. Especially me and Henso, we also try to save the fireflies, and the rice field is their best home. So we would be the one that is very sad if we don't have enough rice field. So yeah, so it's not just about the temple, is very much the values that left by the Maharshi and how we are in connection with God, with human being, and also with nature. So by biding this tradition as part of our community obligation, so hopefully it sort of like slow down from selling the rice field into a resort. So that's also my dream.
Let me also answer that.
Yes, please.
Our friend, it's also has an organization, Trihita Karana. Yeah. What many people don't know that just come here is that before Suharto, the dictator, was here, there was hundreds of 350 different varieties of rice. Yeah. And then Suharto made a deal with Monsanto, and planted this cardboard rice that has no nutritional value. Basically, it's sugar. Yeah. And this changed. I won't go into what happened because it's kind of depressing and it's long. But places like Taro, particularly Taro, because it's so cut up and it's so remote, we're able to, there are spots in Taro that still have some of the indigenous rice varieties. And Imani Chakra knows where they are. And he goes up there and he finds them and he gets the grains of rice and he has them checked in the labs, and then he gives them to other farmers around the mountains of Bali to bring the rice, the heritage rice back. Yeah, the black rice, the brown rice, the red rice. And taro is like the Fort Knox of Beras in Bali. Like, it's got hidden places where, it's 6R of some guy on the other side of the hill, and he's been farming the rice forever, and he only gets 2 harvests, but he feeds his family, and so Chakra tries to propagate that, yeah. And if you look on our YouTube channel, you'll see his talk here, as this talk will also be there soon. Anyway, I figured I'd throw that information out because it's inspiring. And then Wayan is up there. You should visit because they are, this gentleman as well, they're bringing back the fireflies, yeah? And fireflies are bioindicators. When you see fireflies, it means the water and the land is healthy, it's clean. When it's sprayed with pesticides and dumped with fertilizer, you don't see fireflies because they're smarter than humans, yeah, in that aspect. Like, they don't go anywhere near that junk, yeah. Anyway, that's my tirade for the night. I hope you got something out of it.
Thank you, Scott.
You know,
Thank you.
eventually, Bali can become the new organic center. I mean, cut the tourism and get that going. And it will bring just as much income, if not more.
I just also would like to add, I think how our elderly, in this particular Maharishi Markandeya, the sign of the sustainability is is by creating this ecosystem, not just from the spirituality aspect, but also how the community aspect interlink with the natural aspect, so that it's one ecosystem. So why he placed the holy white cow there, and then why is our forest is still considered to be originally every village have their own sacred forest called Tegal Suci. So we are very lucky still have 8 hectares of untouched forest. So this is all the source of the microorganism, all the lives combined with the manure that we are supporting. So I agree, maybe not necessarily to become the center, since it's the beginning of the agriculture system of the Subak. What I receive as, what I would like to take as a responsibility of the local is that we don't use that side part, the M thing, but we use what is available here, because it start to get forgotten. Like the manure, the pile of manure from the holy cow is not being used like they used before. So before, people are what you call it is, fighting to get the manure, because it's not just a cow manure; it's a holy cow manure. So it's special. And yeah, so that's also we just started, initiated. Maybe perhaps my friend Henso can adding me into that. But I agree with you. Maybe not necessarily to be the Bali organic center for Bali, but we can start small. But if we do that consistently, right, uh, because I believe Ubud is just like my villages 25 years ago, and I will be the one that is very sad if eventually Taro like Ubud is now today. In not in a negative way, but I mean when all the rice field are taken into, yes, maybe we gonna have a few villas, but not all of them are converted into the rice field. But so that's why we also started to raising the awareness, Ibu. Hopefully this spirituality aspect can um, can motivate us to flash back to what our ancestors have set the foundation for us, and have been forgotten, because there is a system there that we cannot force. But slowly people start already realizing the damage that happens in the soil now by using the chemical base and the pesticide. So hopefully, slowly, we can bring back uh, the wisdom, bring back the regenerative farming like it used to be. And how do we know that? How do we know that? By how many fireflies are coming back. So that's what we try to do.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I do want to interject that I believe that it's only through education.
Yep.
So if, I don't know how it is, but if the Purana stories were only kept by the priests and a few families, if you make it available to the young people as part of their passion and knowledge, then they would want to keep it. They would want to keep that balance over going over attractive things of that come from the
100%,
West,
100%,
for instance.
100%.
Yes, so it's
Sorry,
all
what is your
about
name, Ibu?
education.
What is your name?
Usnat.
Usna.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. That's why I write the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also speak about it, and all this history and what is the message is left behind. So I agree with you. It's all about the awareness. It's all about education, but how we share the education. That is another very tactical strategy, Ibu, because like my parents who is working in the field, they didn't even go to school. So when we try to educate them with so much conceptual thing, it's not easy. What we try to do is show them by example. So we started what they want to do by showing our results, and then they feel inspired. Then we provide the natural or the organic materials instead of chemical based. So thank you.
Add something also regarding the tourism part, which is
Yeah.
my expertise. So we are, but Bali has a lot to offer. I mean, without needing to come here and change how the way to change to modern Western tourism, as you say in your way. So what we have been working on, and Scott is also contributing to that a lot, is actually how you can base tourism on ancient philosophies and ancient way of doing on Trita Karana. So we, the expat, what we call ourselves expats, or the foreigners who live here, who appreciate the Balinese culture, have an awareness responsibility towards the visitors also to tell them, well, instead of going into like your typical Western mentality, accommodation or culinary or so and so, why don't you go into something more authentic and actually look for the heritage that's already been here, look for the wisdom that has already been passed on from a generation to the other. And if all the visitors will actually shift their mentality towards that direction, towards nature, towards the indigenous culture of Bali, towards the temples, so on and so forth. What we have seen, and Wayan is one of the biggest examples of that the youngsters want to imitate that also. They will feel left out, that their culture is being told by some individuals and they don't know the answers. So they usually go back to their villages and they try to collect the information. If you want to go into details, because it's a different topic, but Pak Wayan can talk about his story also that's got introduced, where he traveled abroad and then he realized the ancient wisdom of Bali and how rich that is. And he came back and he realized he doesn't know many of the answers, and that's why the path has led him to actually knowing about Gunung Raung and reading the Quran. And all that is actually linked to understanding that Bali has a lot in the tourism field itself to offer without actually cutting off the tourists. You can use a tourist as a driver for driving that, actually the heritage and the maintenance of the rice, by involving them into agriculture, by involving them in Subak, by involving them in community, in the Banjar and the Disaadat, and by involving them into understanding the Hinduism, especially the Balinese Hinduism.
But it's a two-way thing,
Yeah.
because it can't be the tourist. First of all, it's like you can't really have a selective type of tourism. That doesn't work. So you have to have enough people in the culture that are interested in going back, but making it in a way that is still attractive eco-wise to certain type of tourism. So it's a back and forth type of thing, and that kind of thing that is usually not supported by big money, right? Which is really the bottom line, right? So we all know what needs and what we'd like to and where we would like it to be, but there's forces that we don't have power over, right? So how do we work with that? How does Bali find back the balance that was there 500 years ago, 300 years ago?
I think the key word
And
is
go modern.
yes.
At the same time, right? So
Yes.
it's a bit of a fine line here.
Yep. I totally agree with you, Ibu, and that is why me as a tourism guy, I work for 35 years in tourism. I understand now why sort of like what makes Bali so special, and why people keep coming to see Bali is the culture, the nature, the people. Basically, this is the top three, right? And I don't think would be a big of a difference if we don't maintain our culture, and then the people change where we don't care anymore with the nature. So I think it's about I always look it from the local perspective as a Balinese. So it is our duty, it is our job, it is our responsibility to also take part in maintaining our culture by learning, not only by learning but actually practicing, and then more into meaningful actions that we can do, and then also contribute for the sustainability of our nature. So like Pak Chakra, he's bringing back all this heritage rice. As you see, there are lots of local doing the movement with the trash, many things. So I think I like to start there as a local. So then we are creating our own market. Lots of people who looking for nightclubs, cafes, they won't find me in Taro, because this is not what I'm offering. They maybe will invite guests like you who love to know about the culture, love to see the rice field, more interested. So basically, it is us that creating the product that we want the market. So the selection is happened by naturally by what we the local are creating. So like what we do with Henso has been a great support to our project. Is we create a very for some of the guests is unique, but for us this is what we do every day. You know, we just showing the originality. My mom is making coconut oil, my dad is climbing like monkey to get the zap, my sister is cooking the local foods, and then at night we see the fireflies. So that's just a very typical Balinese. But for some guests, they don't mind to spend some financial support to being part of what we do. And that's how I see it from the local perspective, and then how we attract, and then eventually we find those right market.
So it sounds to me like you're on the really right way of thinking. And if you can get more Balinese family to think that way, because I live in a Balinese village, but most Balinese these days think that bigger houses and working in big hotels and big resorts are progress
I
for them and for their guests. Correct?
Yeah.
So the thing is that if the Balinese would realize that this is what really originally why the Westerners came here 50 years ago,
Yeah.
is to see that lifestyle
Yeah.
that you're describing, and that's what attracts people
Yeah.
mostly. A lot of people come and like they're sitting in resorts that could be the same in Thailand or in anywhere else in Asia, right? So, and a lot of people more and more are not even exposed to the ceremonies, right? They're here for a week and they go and they see the temple, and for them it's external to them. It's not part of their real experience of what 50 years ago people came and wanted to stay here in Bali. When it was just a way of life.
Yeah.
So,
Also believe what Enzo was saying about also educating ourselves as tourists or people from outside to give value. There's also people who are looking for that 50 years ago. And right now, people are not looking for that anymore. It's not that the ceremonies are not around. For myself coming over, first few days here and there, I see a lot of ceremonies. I see a lot of things going on. But there's also a level of education that it's hard to select a type of tourism, but also this cannot be only up to the Balinese. Only the tourists, the people coming from outside, have the responsibility to respect and see a bit more in depth the culture itself. Because in the
Sure.
end, we all live with the connotation, especially in the global south, that the West is the best. So by following the connotation, the locals are seeing what the tourists are looking for. And they see that they don't look for those ancient ways anymore. And therefore, they might feel more prone to follow these new ways that are created, that are also generating more. And by also trying to re-educate ourselves about a new way of bringing tourism, as Enzo was saying, looking for something different to go a little bit more in depth. Eventually, also the youth can see, hey, wow, look at these tourists there. This West is the best, but these West they are the best, actually looking for our ancient cultures. So maybe I should start redirect my interest towards what these people are interested about, and eventually also monetize it, and eventually create a level of economy on top of it. But beyond the economy, also preserving their culture that is connected also to the land. Because right now, all this interest that it comes from the West request even more structures, more infrastructure, more building, more pollution, less rice field, but even more than rice field, less forest altogether, and less multicultural aspect, and therefore all the fireflies are out. It's also our responsibility as outsider, coming from the Western concept, to really stop seeing things from an Eurocentric point of view and starting to be like, yeah, I'm going to a place in order to amalgamate myself and to learn from the very culture altogether, from the very land altogether. I think this is as essential, as important as the Balinese people playing their part, but also is something that we need to consider from our own responsible aspect.
And it's happening. I mean, let's say we have been in that for 10 years. It's happening. I mean, so if it's just it takes time for change to happen. It's happening on the Balinese side, and I work with 5 communities here, and it's happening from a foreigner side. I see more and more, especially the last 3 seasons after COVID. It's happening. I mean, but it's now for us to continue doing what we're doing and wait for the wave to happen. It's just a matter of time that we will see more of these local experience. That's happening. I mean, for sure. Like we see how many people are coming to Taro now. We started 2.5 years ago with once a week or twice a week. Today we have maybe 2 or 3 a day. So it's like happening. We have more communities, and I see it happening there. So we are sure. And then we just for us also to follow suit and enjoy it. Also enjoy this beautiful wisdom and this beautiful experience, like Gunung Raung, like discipling.
I think my only point is that, 50 years ago, that was what everybody that came saw
They're
here.
not 50 years
So
old
I
anymore.
mean, I'm here 3 years, and this is the first time I'm hearing of it, right? So, okay, so it's not as known, yes, but it will become, I'm hearing.
For these holistic
practices, this ancient wisdom, this back to nature revival, for it to be, it has to be viable in this century for people to be able to support themselves.
Yes.
So all of us, it's very important how we vote, and we vote with our money, we vote with our energy. Yeah, bring your friends up to bring back the light. Bring your friends to the Odalan. Like, ask your friends and share it. And you know what I did? And I'm like, I'm gonna rat on myself. Yeah, I've been so busy that I stopped, like, right after COVID. I stopped going to the traditional market. And because I'm old and I got to check my blood, I had to fast and I had to go get a blood test the other morning. So on the way home, I stopped on Sueta in the morning market, like, and I like, it was like fucking Disneyland. It was like, I was like so happy because I have limited Balinese and but like the smiles on the people's face and like what I got for 100,000 rupiah, and I went home and it'll probably turn before I even eat it all because I live alone. It's like so, it's like so cool. It's like so much better than freaking going to the market, the Pepitos or whatever I did. Yeah. Anyway, it was a blast from my past, and it was inspiring. But we vote with our money, and you supporting Usada and you supporting Wayan and Heros and coming to the art museums, going to Arma and having coffee, all this pays it forward because they're preserving and helping the natural farming and the culture. And yeah, I want to reflect on something that Wayan said earlier about Markananda and coming. Yeah, I'm an 18-year practitioner of Ashtanga yoga, and I learned the philosophy from some pretty good teachers, senior teachers. And one of the things I needed to learn in the beginning was basic Sanskrit. And the word rishi is a Sanskrit word that means seer. They're seers. And back in the era of pre-Sanskrit, the rishis went into the forest and created what's called tapovanas, or clearings in the forest. And they meditated. And in the Sanskrit language, the word for cow is the vibration of cow. The word for human being, namarupa, it's the vibration of the human being. And so when the rishi came to Taro and created this symbiotic system with God and the farming and the land, like, he brought the wisdom of India to Bali. Yeah, I've been to Taro many times. It's one of my favorite places. Our Ubud Buddhist study group has a center up there, Rio Helmi and some other people. And this is just my opinion, and it's my experience, and I have no facts for this other than my observations. There's some pretty fucking enlightened people in Taro, and they're farmers, and they're people that you walk down the street, the woman with the wood on her head going home to cook dinner in the old style stove, yeah? And I look at them and I say, Om Swastiastu, and the look I get back in the eyes with the smile, and like, in our Western point of view, these people are very poor. But in my when I look with my spiritual heart, these people are richer than I am. Like, they're way happier and less stressed than I am in my world. And I don't know, perhaps the rishi left some of that energy up there in Taro in the community, and it's stayed in the genome for centuries. I don't know. It's just something that comes to my mind because some of my favorite people in Bali are in the mountains. Yeah, they're up in the mountains. Kaja, right? Kaja, not Kellogg.
Kaja.
Anyway, thank you everyone for coming. Yeah.
Thank you
And
so
if we have
much.
any
Thank
more
you.
questions,
Thank you,
we can go informal. Thank you, Wayan.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
If anyone has any more questions, we can come to you now.
Yes, I think that's the best part.